In 2005, an anonymous source sent a series of emails to a UFO discussion group led by former United States government employee Victor Martinez. Emails detailing the existence of an exchange program between the United States government and the Ebens, extraterrestrial being Serpo, a planet of Zeta Reticuli star system. The program was called Project Serpo. Serpo is a planet that is in the binary star system Zeta Reticuli located in the constellation of Reticulum. The source was identified as a retired government employee, alleging that he participated in a special program. The origins of the program were the two falls of UFOs in New Mexico in 1947, the famous Roswell incident, and the other in Corona. He said that an alien survived the crash and was taken to Los Alamos National Laboratory. The other 6 aliens dead were placed in a freezing plant in the same laboratory. Communicating with scientists and military personnel, the survivor gave them the location of his home planet, and continued to work until his death in 1952. The extraterrestrial provided information about the objects that were found inside the crashed UFO. One of the objects was a communication device was allowed to use to contact his home planet. A meeting was set for April 1964, when an alien spacecraft landed near Alamogordo, New Mexico. After the recovery of the bodies of their dead comrades, the aliens involved exchanged information with humans in the English language, thanks to the translation device aliens. One thing led to another, and in 1965, the aliens agreed to take a group of humans back to their planet, as part of the exchange program. 12 soldiers were carefully selected for a stay of 10 years in Serpo. The 10 men and 2 women were specialists in various fields, and their task was to gather as much information as possible regarding all aspects of life, society and technology in the alien planet. It was 3 years late and for missing people when they finally returned in 1978. 2 men were killed in the alien planet. A man and a woman had decided to stay. The trip to Serpo, located 37 light-years from Earth, took only 9 months aboard the alien ship. They had learned that Serpo was a planet similar to ours, but smaller. It orbiting a binary star system, and had a similar environment in composition to Earth. However, the 2 suns meant there were higher radiation levels, and the 12 humans had to resort to protection at all times. 2 of them died from complications. The heat was extreme, and took the remaining humans several years to adapt. Another problem was the food. The crew had enough food to last them for 2.5 years, but finally had to resort to eating native foods. Anyone who has traveled abroad knows of serious gastrointestinal consequences posed by the consumption of local food, but human crew finally adapted. Another problem was the length of the day in Serpo, which was 43 Earth hours long. In addition, getting never be completely dark, because their night skies were for the smallest sun illuminated. The team had complete freedom to explore the alien planet, and were not hindered in any way. The geology of the alien world was different. There were few mountains and there were no oceans. There were several types of plant life, but mostly near the polar area, where it was cooler. There were also types of animal life, and some of the biggest were used by the Ebens for work and other tasks, but never as food sources. They produced their food through industrial processes, which had more than a few. The inhabitants of Serpo lived in small communities led by a big city. They lacked a central government, but they seemed to be doing fine without him. The Ebens had leadership and army, but the Earth team realized that they never used weapons of any kind and violence was virtually unknown. They had no concept of money or trade. Each Eben they issued items according to your needs. The planet's population was about 650,000 individuals. The human crew said the Ebens were disciplined in all aspects of their lives, working hours depending on the movements of their souls. There were other civilizations in Serpo except the Ebens. Their method of reproduction was similar to ours, but had a much lower success rate. Therefore, their children were very isolated. In fact, the only problem he had human crew was, when they intended to photograph the Eben children, they were escorted away by the army, and were asked not to try again. On its return to Earth, the remaining 8 members of the expedition were quarantined for 1 year. During this period, they were interrogated and the full report accumulated about 3,000 pages. All members of the expedition have already died from various complications due to radiation exposure. The fate of the 2 people who chose to stay on Serpo is unknown. The Ebens have not contacted Earth since 1985. The authenticity of this story has been the subject of debate since surfaced. However, it is one of the most interesting cases there is extraterrestrial. To our knowledge, better said.